Hey there, Moxness here with a look at some of the best action-adventure titles that have ever been made in the gaming realm. Who doesn't love action and adventure? These games are symbolic of melding both and withstanding the test of time. So here are the top 10 best action-adventure games of all time! Assassin's Creed. Ubisoft's long-running action-adventure stealth series has gone through its highs and lows. However, there's no denying how groundbreaking Assassin's Creed was back in 2007. Interestingly enough, this game began development as a new Prince of Persia game. Instead, it became its own iconic franchise and Ubisoft's biggest franchise to date, having sold over 73 million copies worldwide. Besides an intriguing storyline that spanned across history, the game enabled players to become a badass assassin, Altair, who is embroiled in an ancient war between the Assassin Order and the Templars. Assassin's Creed featured a great storyline, gameplay, and unique mechanics that empowered players to become a warrior for truth and honor. Devil May Cry. Okay, let's ignore some of the doldrums the franchise would go through in its later years, but for its time, the original Devil May Cry was where it was at. Featuring a badass hero and the half-human, half-demon mercenary named Dante, Devil May Cry offered smooth controls, great combat, fun gameplay, and some blistering boss fights. If you had a PlayStation 2 in 2001, Devil May Cry was a must-own title, and if you're just trying out Devil May Cry and like it, just go straight to Devil May Cry 3. Nothing else really comes close to the original. The 2013 reboot DMC Devil May Cry wasn't a bad game, but, well, nothing beats the cult classic that is Devil May Cry. Spider-Man 2. There have been many games starring everyone's favorite friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but the best one to date is Spider-Man 2. Yeah, it was a game based on the 2004 theatrical movie, but it was still a great game. If the measure of a great game based on your favorite comic book superheroes is how much they can make the player feel like that character, Spider-Man 2 pulled that off with flying colors. Gamers finally had a completely open-world New York City as their sandbox to play with. Spider-Man's web slinging worked better than ever, and rather than just swinging around an invisible ceiling in the air, Spider-Man's webbing actually had to attach to the surface of a building in order for it to work. Besides that, Spider-Man had a whole host of other abilities at his disposal, including his spider sense. There were some good Spider-Man games after Spider-Man 2, but none were as good as this. Grand Theft Auto 3. If Shenmue invented the 3D open-world sandbox action-adventure game, then Grand Theft Auto 3 arguably perfected it. GTA 3 basically symbolized the power of what gamers could do with a whole city at their disposal, where they could cause complete and utter mayhem. Besides its own dedicated single-player campaign, players could perform optional side missions or free roam around the city and cause trouble. There was a large variety of weapons, and you could jack cars. The depth to the game was massive. With GTA 3, the franchise would go on to become one of the most popular gaming series in history. Red Dead Redemption. Imagine the Grand Theft Auto series, and then imagine Grand Theft Auto set in the era of the Wild West, and you have the amazing Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Redemption is a crowning achievement for Rockstar Games, as the studio created an amazing storyline and scenario wrapped up with similar controls and mechanics of the Grand Theft Auto series, but in a Western setting. Red Dead Redemption proved that the Western is far from an irrelevant genre, especially when it comes to video games. The Legend of Zelda. The Legend of Zelda is nothing short of a masterpiece, featuring an open world and non-linear gameplay. With Zelda, players took the young role of Link, the hero of time, who seeks to save a princess and save the land of Hyrule from the evil Ganon. This was the title that helped redefine gaming in the 1980s, and 30 years later, the Zelda franchise is still going strong to this day. God of War. When you have a game that inspires the term God of War clone, that's when you know you did something right. It means the original created a trend-setting style that other games attempt to recreate, only to fail to reach the original's benchmark. God of War fits that idea to a T in terms of virtual entertainment. God of War melded both hack and slash and action-adventure gaming in a cinematic and epic style. Players take the role of the tortured Spartan warrior Kratos, who goes on a quest for vengeance against Ares, the god of war, and it only gets better from there. Batman: Arkham Asylum. Undoubtedly a game changer that changed what it meant to be a licensed video game title forever, Rocksteady Studios definitely put together a win here. For the first time, more than any other game featuring the world's greatest detective, aka Batman, Arkham Asylum actually made players truly feel liked Batman. It featured an intuitive, ingenious, free-flow combat system where players could chain combos of 100 hits or more together. Batman had a variety of gadgets at his disposal that he could use to gather forensic evidence or take down criminal scum, but more than that, the gameplay was divided between combat arenas for brawling with thugs and predator rooms that gave gamers the ability to utilize stealth to stalk and terrify criminals. All that was wrapped together in a brilliant storyline written by seminal Batman writer Paul Dini. The iconic backdrop of Arkham Asylum, straight out of the DC Comics, only served to magnify the madness Batman was pitted against in the latest plot of his arch-nemesis, the Joker. Metal Gear Solid tactical espionage action. The graphics might look a little dated now, but if you can imagine, back in 1998, Metal Gear Solid was one of the most amazing video game experiences of all time. It represented a clear and amazing shift for the potential of video games. A continuation of Hideo Kojima's Metal Gear series, players assumed the role of the legendary soldier Solid Snake, who is sent in to neutralize a terrorist threat called Foxhound, who are in possession of a deadly weapon called Metal Gear Rex. In terms of storytelling, the first Metal Gear Solid really had the tightest, strongest narrative of the franchise, not to mention the best and coolest boss fights. Besides the stealth tactics and combat, the game offered a great deal of variety in terms of action set pieces. In one level, you are matched up against a high-tech ninja cyborg. In another level, Snake has to rappel down the side of a building while dealing with a heavily armed chopper. There's even a car chase shootout, not to mention the game featured great cinematics and high-level voice acting that became new benchmarks for the industry. Metal Gear Solid is really the one that changed everything and turned the industry on its head. Uncharted 2: Among Thieves. You can make many arguments for the single best Uncharted game, but this one definitely has a strong case. Uncharted 2 brought a solid multiplayer gameplay component to the franchise. Not only that, the voice actors, who are synonymous for all their characters, were also brought in to perform vocal and performance motion capture work for the game. This added another layer of depth and realism to their performances. Uncharted 2 also boasted the single best storyline and the coolest villains of the series. This was tough because all the Uncharted games are fantastic, but Uncharted 2, Among Thieves, was pure excellence. Those were 10 of the best action-adventure games ever made, but what do you think? Did the list miss any significant, notable titles that should have made the top 10? Maybe you feel Batman Arkham City should have won out against Arkham Asylum? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and please subscribe to TGN. My name's Moxus, and I'll see you next time.